Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the podcast. And today I'm going to go over some news and rumors about one specific company, with the rumors being this company might actually be coming to an end. A couple of things I want to talk about, man. So there was some news that broke out over the past few days, honestly the past few weeks, about one specific company, and that company being TNA. Total Nonstop Action Wrestling. Now, if you guys are not familiar with TNA, TNA has been around for a very long time, produced some great matches, great events, and honestly established future Hall of Famers. AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, the list goes on and on. So there has been some news about TNA that has been coming out as the past couple days, past few weeks, that I wanted to address with you guys, give you guys my thoughts on, and just inform you guys, if you guys are interested, on the issues and the news stemming from TNA. Now, a few days ago, it might have been actually a week ago, there was some news about TNA that a lot of people weren't too fond of. One wrestler, Steve Maclin, former TNA talent, he asked for his release. Now, there was news about Maclin and his deal with TNA. You know, obviously, there was some rumors and speculation that Maclin wasn't happy in his current role and his status within TNA and had asked for his release. Now, he has come out publicly and addressed his feelings towards TNA, most notably Carlos Silva, the TNA president currently, and addressed his situations with TNA. You know, he wanted out of his contract, he wanted out of his deal with TNA. He didn't like his status and his position in TNA, and he asked for his release, and the release was granted. He ended up showing up, I believe, for Sami Callihan's promotion, Wrestling Revolver, and also made some comments towards Carlos Silva as well. So we had this situation with Steve Maclin where, he asked for his release, the release was granted, and most people would say, okay, well, he just asked for his release, it's not a big deal, and TNA was gracious enough to release him from his TNA contract. Then we had news that broke today that Tessa Blanchard has also asked TNA for her release, and that release was also granted as well. There's even news about Tessa actually going to CMML now that she is released from her TNA contract. The reason why I'm bringing this up to you guys, man, is because, I really wanted to go in depth with you guys and talk about TNA, my thoughts on TNA, and honestly, the future, if there is one, and how I feel about that for TNA. TNA, I mentioned this, maybe a minute ago, TNA has been a company that's been around for a very long time. We saw the uprise of TNA. I mean, this is a company that came into fruition literally after basically WCW went under. Early 2000s. And yeah, when WCW went under, a lot of the talent that were in WCW at that time ended up venturing over to WWE. Guys like Eddie Guerrero, guys like, at one time, Perry Saturn, Dean Malenko. I mean, they had endless amount of names. Ric Flair. A lot of those talents, Goldberg, I think Buff Bagwell had a small stint in WWE. DDP had a small stint in WWE. A lot of those talents, or certain talents from WCW, Booker T as well, also ventured over to WWE once WCW went under. But some of those talents didn't have the opportunity to go to WWE, and some of those talents ended up going over to TNA. One of those talents, most notable talents from WCW that went to TNA, was none other than Sting. And Sting made his debut for TNA Wrestling. Now, TNA at the time was being run by somebody known as Dixie Carter. Now, if you guys are not familiar with Dixie Carter, she ran TNA and almost pretty much ran TNA into the ground with just financial struggles with TNA. The financing was just horrible. The fact that the company went into bankruptcy multiple times, and the company pretty much almost folded multiple times. Jeff Jarrett was another WCW talent that went over to TNA. He was also in charge of TNA. He was also the head booker at one time for TNA Wrestling as well. And you guys know how I feel about Jeff Jarrett. So, and if you don't, I'll get to that in a little bit later in this episode. So TNA has been around, and they have brought in a lot of stars, and they made stars, most notably AJ Styles. I mean, this is the house that AJ Styles had built, hands down. He had a small stint in WCW. WCW obviously folded, and AJ Styles went over to TNA, and the rest was history. We also seen stars like Samoa Joe, Christopher Daniels, Frankie Kazarian, Beer Money, Bobby Roode, and James Storm. We've seen talents such as just, not, I wouldn't say most notable talents, but, they had talents on the roster that were future stars and former WWE talent. I mean, they had Christian Cage. He was also a former TNA champion over in TNA. Abyss made a name for himself. The Hardys. Jeff had a decent run and a bad run as well as TNA. We all are well aware of that. RVD. I mean, they've had an abundance of talent that has walked through the doors of TNA. Even legends themselves. I mean, hell, almost pretty much the entire NWO stable at one time was in TNA. You had Scott Hall, you had Kevin Nash, you had X-Pac or Six, you had Hogan, you had Bischoff there as well. So a lot of notable talents were in TNA wrestling. And in the early days of TNA, they were red hot. Red hot. They were putting on phenomenal matches. They had Kurt Angle as well. Angle made his TNA debut, and Angle, honestly, I think it was arguably probably one of Kurt Angle's best runs in his entire career. The shit that he did in TNA it will never be duplicated again. Ever. Ever again. So I'm not going to sit here and discredit TNA for what they did for professional wrestling, because a lot of those talents made a name for themselves and elevated their careers to what it is now. Like AJ Styles, who AJ Styles now is a WWE Hall of Famer, multi-time world champion. So I'm not going to discredit TNA as far as what they did for professional wrestling and what they did for certain talents and put these talents on the map. But, when I mentioned Dixie Carter, I mean, Dixie Carter was an individual that brought TNA to the spotlight, but also was almost solely the individual to almost cripple and crumble the company at the same time. From the financial issues to the multiple bankruptcies from TNA, talents being disgruntled with Dixie Carter, addressing their issues that they had with Dixie Carter and the way they were being ran in TNA, the way they were being utilized in TNA, the fact that, at times financially they weren't set to be forking out all this money for these contracts. I mean, TNA at one time was all over the place, in the mid, 2010s. I mean, it was all over the place. I think nowadays when we look at TNA, the one thing I'll say about TNA is that you have a company that has survived, multiple financial struggles, financial issues, bankruptcies, and they're still here today. So here we are now in 2026, and TNA is still around. They're still, surviving and striving and trying to get, back to any kind of, importance in today's day than what it was in the early 2000s. So, TNA obviously was going through their influx of talent and people behind the closed doors and running TNA. Obviously, they went through the Dixie Carter era, Jeff Jarrett. And then we get somebody of the name of Scott D'Amore. And if you guys remember when Scott D'Amore did for TNA, this was a time that Scott came in. He was actually a former, if I'm not mistaken, Scott was actually a former TNA talent. He didn't wrestle, but he was shown on TNA television back in the day. So Scott D'Amore had, he was the main booker for the promotion, and this was a time where Scott really wanted to rebrand TNA and bring some limelight back to the TNA brand, which he did. I mean, he brought back the old logo, he brought back the, honestly, the pulse, if you will, of TNA. I got a lot of fans excited, and a lot of the superstars at the time that were on the roster, like Moose, Jordan Grace, Joe Hendry, etc., were huge fans of Scott D'Amore and saw the vision with Scott, with what Scott D'Amore wanted to do and provide not only for TNA, but the fans of TNA wrestling as well. So there was a lot of wrestlers and fans behind the vision of what Scott D'Amore saw in TNA. Then it came to a point where Scott was booted out. He was kicked out of TNA. Scott D'Amore actually tried to buy the company. There was rumors that he even refinanced his house and pretty much refinanced everything that he had to try to purchase back TNA. And unfortunately, that did not happen. Scott D'Amore moved on, and now he is running his own promotion with Maple Leaf Pro up in Canada, which, by the way, he's doing a phenomenal job with running that promotion. So Scott was booted out, and then we bring in Carlos Silva. Now, Carlos Silva, from what I understand, has been around TNA. I think he worked for Access TV. Now, TNA was on Access TV for the longest time. I mean, they have since after Spike TV, I think they went from Spike TV right to Access TV. So TNA at the time, being on Access TV, wasn't really available for a lot of people, unless you had a certain cable provider that provided Access TV. So not everybody got Access TV, so their ratings were always kind of in the drizzling shits because not everybody had Access TV. So my understanding is Carlos Silva, played a role with Access TV. He was, working with Access TV to produce TNA Wrestling. And now Carlos Silva is the president of TNA Wrestling. Now, ever since Carlos Silva stepped into the position to be TNA, a lot of people had their, the mindset of, okay, well, maybe this is a new beginning for TNA. Maybe this is an uprise for TNA, especially with the fact that since Carlos Silva has been the president of TNA, TNA was able to secure a TV rights deal with AMC and is now in a partnership with WWE. So when this whole deal was announced, meaning that TNA was working with WWE, you saw NXT talent competing in TNA events and TNA talents competing in NXT events, you assumed at that time that there was going to be an uprise for TNA. This was a new beginning for TNA. They're going to rise from the ashes and be, if not the number 2 company in the world, behind WWE, with AEW being at the 3rd position as far as one of the best wrestling companies in the States. So they made their AMC debut with Carlos Silva being the president of TNA, and I even did a review about this, and that debut on AMC flopped. It was a fucking disaster. From the camera angles to the lighting to the production to the matches alone, that entire show sucked. Everybody that I talked to, everybody that's in the community that I talked to, had stressed their grievances towards that show, stating that it was one of the most horrific and horrible wrestling shows that they've seen in a very, very long time. And honestly, I cannot sit here and blame them. I can't. The show was fucking horrible. So they made their debut with AMC, hoping that it would get more eyeballs on the product and give a new life force to TNA. That has not happened. TNA, ever since that debut episode, TNA has gone downhill. They made their debut with AMC. They signed more talent, former WWE talent like Sonya Deville and other talent. But the problem with that is when they sign these people to these deals, they're only signing talents for maybe a 6-month deal, tops. There's no long-term 3 to 5 year contracts from TNA because, quite frankly, they don't have the financing to solidify a long-term deal with talents. I also heard through the grapevine that some of the talents that were on TNA at one time were also paid by appearance, meaning there was no contract. These people were showing up, getting paid just to appear on TNA, paid by appearance. That's it. I don't think currently right now in the landscape of TNA there is no solidified long-term deals in TNA. I don't even think there's a long-term deal for Mike Santana. I think Santana's deal might have been maybe 2 years max. They don't have the financing and the funds to solidify a long-term deal, to sign talent to a long-term deal, to keep them within the confines of TNA. Now, again, I'm going to stress this again. A lot of people had assumed that with this new TV rights deal and the fact that WWE was working with TNA, that they were going to get a substantial amount of money, and because they had this new TV rights deal, they're going to get a substantial amount of money so they can afford to acquire talents for a long-term deal. That has not happened. Another notable talent, I believe, was it Fabian Eichner, former WWE talent, has only signed, he said, quote-unquote, until the summer, or for the summer. That's only a few months on that deal. These are hand-over-fist deals that Carlos Silva is giving these talents just to keep TNA afloat, hopefully. So there was that, and like I said, Tessa Blanchard's news that came out. Mike Santana, who I believe is the current TNA World Champion, is, and going to be defending that title against Nick Nemeth here soon, is also on his possible way out of TNA and going over to WWE. WWE is looking at Mike Santana to bring him into WWE, which, look, I'm all for that. I think Mike Santana is underrated, severely underrated. If you guys don't know who Mike Santana is, he teamed up with Ortiz in AEW. He's been a part of LAX and TNA. And he's been on the independents, and now he's back with TNA, but he's now getting looked at by WWE. I'm all for Santana going to WWE. He's a severely underrated talent, and sky's the limit for Mike Santana. So you have the current TNA champion getting sought out by TNA. You also have, I believe, former X Division champion in Leon Slater. Now, Leon Slater has competed in TNA. He's also had matches in WWE. Is also rumored to also be on his way out of TNA, with rumors of him possibly joining either WWE or AEW as well. Again, and with Leon Slater, he will go down as one of, probably if not one of the best X Division champions of all time. So you also have Leon Slater, Mike Santana on their way out. You have Steve Maclin, who asked for his release, and he is now gone from the company. And now Tessa Blanchard is also gone from the company after today, when she requested her release, and that release was granted today. And she is possibly on her way over to CMLL as we speak. The issue that I have with this, man, and I can't stress this enough, and I don't want to go on this huge tangent, but the issue that I have with this is, man, TNA, I think, got too big for their britches. To put it as politely as I can. TNA went into a deal with WWE hoping that this was going to elevate TNA. It's not. It's not working out for TNA and WWE, and it's not working out for WWE working with TNA. It's not working out. And at the end of the day right now, man, I hate saying this, but TNA is borderline WWE's developmental. People will say, oh, well, they have NXT. Bro, NXT is miles ahead right now what TNA's doing. And that's saying a lot. Right now, I believe WWE is using TNA to sort out talent. Whether they're going to pick talent and move them to NXT or move them right to the main roster. I mean, there's even a contract clause within WWE working with TNA that WWE can actually purchase TNA as an entire company, where there might not be no more TNA. It's in their contract. So, now do I think WWE is going to go out of their way right now to buy TNA right now? Absolutely not, because I don't think it's beneficial to WWE whatsoever to buy a company right now that is dying. TNA is dying. If you're a TNA fan, genuinely, I feel bad for you. If you've been a fan since day one, and you've seen the highs and lows, and you've gone through all that bullshit with Dixie Carter and Jeff Jarrett and all this other shit, and you're still a fan of TNA, God bless you. God bless you. Because you can't sit here and tell me right now as a TNA fan that this is the best product TNA has put on in their existence as a company. There's no fucking way. There's no way. This company is fucking dying, man. A slow, miserable death. All because of Carlos Silva. This guy, he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. He really doesn't. This guy was working in TV, working with Access TV. This guy has no idea how to run a professional wrestling company. I mean, it's blatant, bro. You have talent that have been there for a long time, begging to get the fuck out the door. Tessa Blanchard, Mike Santana. Now, I'm not sitting here saying that Mike Santana might have issues with Carlos Silva, but he is possibly on his way out. Leon Slater has also talked about his situation with TNA as well. You know what I mean? Like, there's been talents that have come out to vent their frustrations with Carlos Silva. This is also the same guy that had his talent on an independent show where his talent would have been wrestling AEW talent, and he pulled those talents from that show because AEW talent were on that show. Hell, there was even a match, from what I understand, that was booked between TNA and AEW between MJF and Nick Nemeth, which would have been a fantastic match. But because AEW talent were on that card, Carlos Silva pulled all that talent, all his talent from that card. I don't even think those talents were even paid. I honestly don't. I'm hoping they were, but who knows? It's a shitty way to do business. This is also the same guy that has boo-hooed and pissed and whined about the fact that, oh, AEW, put on a show the same day we're producing shows. So fucking what? It's called competition. Not for nothing, Mr. Silva, that should burn a fire under your ass to put on the best show you can put on for your TNA fans. Rather than sitting down and piss whining about it, you put on a show and you compete. Competition brings out the best out of anybody. The best versus the best. Meanwhile, he's over in the corner piss whining and moaning because AEW booked a show on the same day they have a show. Get the fuck out of here, man. Welcome to the professional wrestling business. AEW and WWE has been doing this shit back and forth now for the past 7 fucking years. Give me a fucking break. You move on or you adapt. This guy doesn't want to do either. He wants to piss, whine, and complain and not do anything about it. That's why these talents are frustrated. MJF shit all over TNA and Carlos Silva, pretty much calling Silva a piece of shit. The fact that, especially due to the fact that he pulled all those talents from an independent show that these talents were booked for, probably in advance. So if I was that independent promoter that was promoting these damn matches for your promotion, you damn right I'd be fucking pissed off. Absolutely, because you're promising something to your fan base that you're trying to deliver, and that these superstars have signed on for, and then all of a sudden this promoter that these wrestlers are wrestling for pulled these talents away from this, independent promotion that this guy, he or she, was putting on for their fan base. I think it's a slap in the fucking face. It's a slap in the face for for those talents, and it's a slap in the face for those promotions trying to acquire, to have TNA talent on these independent shows. If I was an independent promoter, I'd be very hesitant to do any kind of work whatsoever with TNA or Carlos Silva, due to what he did the last time. This WWE partnership with TNA is not panning out. And people could say, oh, that's bullshit. That's bullshit. Really? Okay. Let me give you a prime example right now, bro, of what's working and what's not. TNA and WWE is not fucking working. I tell you what's working right now as far as a WWE partnership that's in full gear right now is the partnership between WWE and AAA. That's what's thriving right now. That's what's red hot. People are still talking about the matchup between El Grande Americano and OG Americano that happened a while back ago. People are still talking about that fucking match. How many of you can put your hand up and say, oh, since WWE's worked with TNA, this was the best match. I'll never forget this match with TNA. You can't. Because there's no fucking story. There's no intrigue with TNA. There's no matches that are on there that are holy shit. You can't. The pay-per-view numbers are down for TNA. Attendance is down. I mean, bro, you're trying to do everything you can to bring in some, fresh blood into this company, and it's fucking failing. It's failing. Because you have a guy that's a clown running this fucking show that has no idea what the fuck he's doing. Like I said, if you were a fan of TNA, you had to be pissed off to no end when Scott D'Amore walked out the fucking door. Because that was your saving grace right there, was Scott D'Amore. Scott had the passion and the love, not only for professional wrestling, but for TNA. And the fans can tell, and the talent that were working with Scott understood his love and passion that he had for professional wrestling and for TNA wrestling specifically. The friends that he made, the partnerships that he made, the bonds that he made within TNA. TNA it was back when Scott was running that show and he revamped TNA. You could tell that those fans and the wrestlers alone were behind Scott D'Amore 100%. I can't sit here and say the same for TNA now being run by Carlos Silva. Why? Because talents are getting pissed off and fans are getting pissed. You have talents that are there for bullshit deals or pay-by-appearance deals that are telling Carlos Silva to fuck off, and they're walking. And there's nothing he can do about it because he's granting releases out the wazoo because you can't do nothing about it. You can't afford the talent that's on that roster. You can't. Why do you think Macklin left? Why do you think Tessa Blanchard just left? Santana's on his way out. Leon Slater has one foot out the fucking door. It's a joke, man. The TNA, it's horrible, man. It's horrible. And the saddest thing is, we're talking about a company that, quite frankly, right now on paper doesn't deserve the TV rights deal they have. They don't. I'd rather take that TV rights deal away from TNA and give that TV rights deal to AAA. They're just putting on better matches, better production, more story. Give it to AAA. That's what I would. And if I was working for AMC and seeing the mess that we're seeing with TNA, you got to be pissed off. You got bamboozled. Because the wrestling we're getting on TNA is bullshit. And I'm not trying to take anything away from the talent. There's just no story, no intrigue with this shit. Right now, honestly, I feel like Mike Santana is the only one keeping the fucking lights on with this company. And you're about to lose your biggest star to WWE. So after Santana leaves, what's next? Who's the next top guy for TNA? Right now, in my honest opinion, with all due respects to the talent that are in TNA right now, there are 3 individuals right now that are keeping the lights on for TNA. That's Mike Santana and the Hardys. That's it. And we're talking about the Hardys that are up there in age that are, coming close to an end on their career at some point. It's not the same Hardys from early 2000, bro. It's not. It's not the same Jeff Hardy that we saw jumping off tables and jumping off ladders and all kinds of crazy shit that we saw back in the day. This is a much wiser Jeff Hardy and realizes, hey, man, I can't do the same shit I did over 20 years ago. Yeah, no shit. No shit. But those 3 guys, those 3 individuals are keeping the lights on for TNA. I'm sorry. And you got one almost on his way out the fucking door, being your TNA World Champion. Because I can see, if the match is going down between Nick Nemeth and Mike Santana, I can see Santana dropping that belt to Nemeth, and Santana's on his way over to either NXT or WWE main roster. And that's it. Then you had to ask yourself, what, all you got now is the Hardys, with all due respect? That's not enough, bro. That's not enough. And you don't have the financing or the funding to bring in top-tier talent to this company on a solidified deal. I mean, at the end of the day, if I was a talent, you had to look at this too, bro. These talents, this is their job. This is their livelihood. This is how they make a living. So when you're somebody like, for example, Karrion Kross, who is very loyal, and a hard-working SOB, but he's very loyal. But you bring in a guy like Karrion Kross, or even entertain the idea of a contract from TNA to Karrion Kross, Kross is probably going to scoff at it, because it's like, bro, you want me to come in here for, what, a 6-month deal, and that's it? You can't guarantee me a 3-year deal? You know what I'm saying? I mean, they have to look out for their entire livelihood, man, and their families and shit. And right now, just from financially, right now, it's not if I was a talent, it would be hard for me to contemplate signing with TNA. Especially if you're already a well-established talent and you're just out there being a free agent. I don't know. When you got companies like AEW, you got companies like Ring of Honor, you have companies like MLW, which is also on the goddamn rise right now, New Japan, you got Pro Wrestling Noah as well overseas, you got, other companies around the world that, might not have the funding of a WWE or AEW, but there's other companies out there that could guarantee at least, a full-time contract. TNA can't provide that. That's why these talents are leaving. Because you got a clown running the show in Carlos Silva. It's a fucking shame, man. I mean, I feel like as far as ownership of this company and people being in charge of this company, it's been run by some of the most horrible people of all time, minus Scott D'Amore. Dixie Carter almost ran this company into the fucking ground. Jeff Jarrett, Jarrett is on the same boat, bro. Jarrett, and I've vented my frustrations with Jarrett. I know there's supposed to be some kind of TNA documentary on Dark Side of the Ring, and it's supposed to be about Jeff Jarrett and his time in TNA, which I can't wait to watch that shit, because I know it's going to be a complete and utter fucking shit show. But Jarrett's no better. Jarrett came in, he was running the show for TNA, he was the main booker, and again, a shitty businessman. Keep it a buck. We're talking about a guy that also tried to run, Global Force Wrestling? They went bankrupt, all these legal issues, all the financial issues they had, and it went under. They didn't do shit with Global Force Wrestling, man. Maybe it didn't last more than a cup of coffee. Jarrett has, as far as business-wise, Jarrett's not the guy. Jarrett's not the guy. He tries to be his daddy and Jerry Jarrett, and it's not the same. It's not the same time. It's not the same guy. And the business mindset is completely different from both Jeff and Jerry Jarrett. 100%. Jerry Jarrett ran a solid foundation for a pro wrestling promotion way back in the day, man. A lot of good wrestlers wrestled for, Jeff Jarrett's dad's promotion way back in the day. But Jeff Jarrett as a promoter, fuck no. I'm sorry, buddy. No. I think Jeff Jarrett's a fucking fool, man, to be honest with you. Honestly. Trying to be a carbon copy of Ric Flair with that damn figure 4. Now, we're also talking about a guy in his WCW run that went to shit. And the only reason why he was world champion is because WCW was coming to an end. And they needed other new life on the roster to become champions. Hell, even David Arquette one time was WCW World Heavyweight Champion. Give me a fucking break, man. Give me a break. His WWE run was shit too. I'm sorry. I know he's Intercontinental Champion. Nah, bro. It's fucking dog shit. I'm sorry. The ownership of this company over the years has been shit. Dixie Carter, Jeff Jarrett, and now Carlos Silva. It's the same shit, man. This company it's surviving on hard times, man. It is. And like I said, if you're a TNA fan, I'm sorry. You know what I mean? But this company is dying, man. It's dying. A lot of people, hell, even myself, man, when they signed with AMC, I thought, hey, this was going to be a new sign of life for TNA. It was going to bring in new fans. It was going to bring in new talent. It's going to bring a whole new life to TNA, bro. And it's just been a sinking fucking ship ever since they signed with AMC. With an abundance of talent leaving, you can't sign on the long-term deals. Talent unhappy with the current landscape of TNA. talent venting their frustrations with how TNA is being ran. I mean, bro, the writing is on the fucking wall. It's on the wall. And I'm telling you right now, man, if Santana does go to WWE and you got the likes of Leon Slater leaving as well, possibly, it's going to be pretty bad for TNA. I'm just being honest, man. You know, a lot of those talents are already gone. Jordan Grace is gone. Joe Hendry's gone. You got, Frankie Kazarian? It's not enough, man. With all due respect to Kazarian, it's not enough. It's not enough. You don't have the star power, man. You got two guys that would be left once Santana and Slater were to leave in the Hardys. It's not enough. It's not enough. And it's sad, man. It's sad because at the end of the day, to me, TNA has always been that company that, with all the shit they've been through, man, they are still in the goddamn trenches. It's like this company cannot just get a fucking break. They can't. But they refuse to give up. They refuse to tap out. And you got to respect it. But it's like, man, sometimes you got to look at yourself in the mirror and be like, holy shit. Like, you can't sit here and tell me that this company is running on all cylinders, man. It's not. It's not. It's not. And it's not like TNA hasn't worked with other companies. I mean, they work with WWE. They're now working with New Japan again, from what I've been told. And at one time, they were also working with AEW in the early days of AEW. I mean, hell, Kenny Omega was a former TNA World Champion. Kenny Omega was floating back and forth from TNA to AEW when they were working together. I believe Scott D'Amore was running the promotion at that time. And hell, TNA wasn't even being shown on television. I think they were being shown on Twitch at one time. When they had the Good Brothers there, Gallows and Anderson, and Kenny Omega, and Omega was on his huge title reign with multi-time world champion from different companies and shit. I mean, besides that, this time and now, that was the best time of TNA. At least people knew what TNA was about. That was only because of Kenny Omega. You can't tell me right now that there's a solidified star in the company besides Mike Santana and Leon Slater right now. You can't. What, Eddie Edwards? Come on, bro. I mean, get the fuck out of here, man. Seriously. Like, what the fuck are we doing here? What are we doing? They pushed out Scott because Scott wanted to buy the company. And because Carlos Silva wanted to work with WWE, Scott D'Amore had to go. And look what Scott's doing now. Scott's, to me, D'Amore's doing a lot better now with Maple Leaf Pro than what TNA's doing. 100%. 100%. You know why? Because the passion and commitment that Scott D'Amore has for professional wrestling. At the core of it, he is a fan. And he knows how to run a professional wrestling company. The proof is in the pudding. Good for Scott. Good for Scott. I'm as a fan, I'm proud of Scott. And wrestlers want to wrestle under Scott D'Amore's promotion for Maple Leaf Pro. And he's putting on really good matches. Really good matches. And honestly, for what it's worth, I think D'Amore's sitting on a gold mine. Because he's willing to work with any talent from any company, especially AEW. Why not? It's a win-win for Scott D'Amore. TNA's not willing to do that. TNA is not working with AEW talent because the ties that WWE has with them. And WWE is definitely not working with AEW talent. They despise AEW. So you think TNA is going to work with them? Fuck no. Hell no. Because TNA is not going to do anything in their power to piss off WWE. If it wasn't for WWE alone, I can tell you right now, TNA, there was no way in hell TNA would have got that damn TV rights deal with AMC. Not a fucking shot. WWE helped solidify that TV rights deal. You better fucking believe it. TNA was on nobody's map as far as a TV rights deal, bro. Nobody. And not for nothing, if I'm going to compare apples to fucking oranges, I want to be honest too. I think what Billy Corgan's doing with NWA is a lot better than what we're seeing with TNA right now. Because I can tell you right now, at least Billy Corgan's track record, there's no bullshit, there's no drama, there's no bankruptcy, there's no financial issues going on from what I've been told or what I've seen. And the company is still rolling on all cylinders with the amount of talent they lost. I mean, Christ, bro, at one time they had Eddie Kingston, they had Nick Aldis, they had Ricky Saints, or Ricky Starks, they had, who else? Nick Aldis as the NWA World Heavyweight Champion, Camille. Come on, bro. They still got Tom Latimer. Tim Storm, James Storm at one time. Come on, bro. They lost a bunch of talent, and they're still going. I mean, Christ, NWA has a TV rights deal with Comet TV on Saturdays at 4 p.m. Eastern. The first time TNA's had a TV rights deal in, what, over 30 years? Come on, bro. Come on. You want to know why? Because despite how I feel about NWA's product, Billy Corgan, whether I like the guy or not, has a passion for professional wrestling. He's a fan at heart. And because of that, the fans are gravitated towards Billy Corgan, as well as the talent. If all that shit gels together, because that makes the talent want to work for a guy who's a fan of professional wrestling and not there just to collect a fucking check. That's the difference. Carlos Silva just wants to get the money, bro. He don't give a fuck about the product, and he don't give a shit about professional wrestling. It's the same thing with WWE, with Ari Emanuel and all those guys. You think Ari Emanuel gives a shit about WWE? No. The only time Ari Emanuel cares about WWE as long as he's getting paid the money that he's getting paid for. That's it, bro. It's not like he's sitting down on a Monday night watching Raw or Friday Night SmackDown. He don't give a fuck about that shit. And Carlos Silva's in the same boat. You'll see this guy. Oh, he's a fan. Of sitting down all these TNA events and pay-per-views, sitting ringside, looking like a jackass. If you were a genuine fan of professional wrestling or a fan of your own product, then you'd be booking better matches and making sure that the talent are happy working with this company and being a boss. That's the problem. You just want the money. You don't give a shit about how this company's being run. You just want the money from the fans and everything else. You just want the money. It's shown, bro. It's seen constantly every Thursday for TNA. The same old song and fucking dance. Nothing changes. And that's why this company is dying. There's no intrigue. There's no excitement. There's no, fans being super thrilled about TNA's product. Everybody and their damn grandmother was glued to the TV when TNA made their debut on AMC. Everybody was glued to the TV when TNA made their debut on AMC. You think it's been the same since then? Fuck no. Hell no. Why? Because this company is fucking dying, man. Your world champion's on his way out with Mike Santana. You have your former, I believe, X Division champion venting his frustrations and having one foot out the fucking door. Steve Maclin has asked for his release and was granted his release. And then, as of today, one of the top female wrestlers in the industry, Tessa Blanchard, also asked for her release and was also granted her release as well as today. And is on her way to CMLL, from what I was told. How many more talents are this company going to lose to a point where TNA is going to have to close doors? You have to think about that. You have to consider that if you're a TNA fan. If you're a TNA fan right now, you're sweating fucking bullets right now. And asking yourself, if you're a fan, what the fuck is going on here? Why are these talents asking for the release? Why are these talents not signed to a long-term deal? Why are these talents going somewhere else and not staying with TNA? Well, the reason why they're not staying is from one person and one person only, and that's Carlos Silva. This guy is crippling this company within. And by the time people realize what the fuck's going on, it might be too late, bro, and the doors might actually be closed and locked for good for TNA wrestling. It wouldn't be the first time a company that's been around for a long time goes under. I've seen it multiple times. Most notably WCW. Folded. Done. Bought out. Done. You know what I mean? It's not the same anymore. And it's not the same. I mean, TNA is definitely not what it was 20 years ago. I get it. Things change. But just because they change doesn't mean it has to go from bad to fucking worse and stay worse forever. I mean, damn, bro, you got to change up. You got to do different shit. And clearly the vision right now for TNA, the shit's not working. It's not. You can't sit here and tell me that it is. This guy doesn't know what the fuck this dude literally doesn't know what the fuck he is doing. And if you're a fan of TNA, you better be begging to the gods that Scott D'Amore comes back or something. Because this partnership with WWE is not benefiting TNA whatsoever. The only thing that benefited TNA was them getting a TV rights deal, which quite frankly, they don't deserve it. And I don't think WWE really gives a shit about TNA. As far as a wrestling company, maybe the talent they care about, like Mike Santana and shit like that, sure. Because they see the potential in those talents, and rightfully so. But as a company, as a whole, you think WWE really genuinely gives a shit about TNA wrestling? If it folds up shop, fuck no. It doesn't hurt WWE at all. And like I said, if we're looking at both companies and comparing both companies and who I believe deserves a TV rights deal more than the other, I think AAA deserves a TV rights deal more than TNA. 100%. Better production, better storylines, better wrestling than what we're seeing on TNA. Because whatever TNA's showing, man, it's complete and utter bullshit. It's crap. It's crap, man. I'm sorry. It's just, it's unfortunate. It really is sad that We're seeing this company that's been around for over 20 years, well over 20 years, just nobody gives a shit anymore, bro. Nobody cares. You know, it's the company that keeps on fighting, and I respect the hell out of them for it. But you had a vision one time with Scott D'Amore, and you guys just let that guy go. And he had the passion and commitment to TNA to change everything around for TNA. And it was starting to look very enticing. Just as a fan alone, I was excited. I was like, oh shit, we might have something here with Scott D'Amore running TNA. And then he's gone. He's out. They kick him out. And then we get Carlos Silva, and it's a fucking clown show over there. Literally, it's the laughing stock of professional wrestling. It is. I wouldn't be surprised if more talent are not going to be asking for the release here in the next few days. Or the next couple weeks. What the fuck's the point? Not for nothing. Look, man, with all due respect to Matt and Jeff Hardy, I don't know, and I'm going to say this too. I mean, yeah, they went back to WWE. Am I against it? No, I'm not. But am I also against them possibly, going back to AEW and having some matches? Hopefully the bridge is not burned between, both sides of the fence here. I would be mad about both the Hardys going back to AEW. They've already said they want to match with Edge and Christian. They said that. And right now, they're currently the AEW Tag Team Champions. I'm not against that at all. I mean, honestly, what's left for Matt and Jeff Hardy in TNA? The Righteous? I think the Righteous are on TNA, if I'm not mistaken. What else is left? What tag team division that TNA has that's enticing? Jesus Christ, bro. I feel like MLW has a better roster right now than TNA. MLW is on the uprise, man. MLW is doing big shit right now with Karrion Kross at the helm of everything, being their world champion. Sky's the limit for MLW. Can't say the same shit for TNA. I can't. Because on one side of the fence, if you look at MLW, they're on the uprise. While you look at TNA that's been around for, almost 30 years, if not longer? Since early 2000s? It's been well over, I think, 20 years. And this company's dying. It's a slow death. Slow death. I mean, I don't get it, man. I don't. If we're looking at the track record with TNA and the shit they've done, the rosters they've had, the talent they've had, the storylines they've told, and we're getting this dog shit now, dude, it's... God, man. It's sad. It's sad to watch because when you watch TNA's product now and you watch it as a fan, you're like, man, this shit is fucking boring. This is awful. I feel bad for the talent. I feel bad for the people that bought a ticket to watch this shit. It's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. And yeah, while AEW has their bad times, AEW is a lot better than TNA. I don't give a shit what anybody says. I'm sorry. And yeah, I have vented my frustrations out the wazoo with AEW. Trust me. Absolutely. Same thing with WWE. But I'm not going to sit here and bullshit nobody and say that TNA right now is better than AEW. No chance in hell. No chance. Not from a talent standpoint, from the production standpoint. Not a fucking chance in hell. No way. No way. And if I was somebody like Mike Santana, I mean, he's a loyal guy, man. But at the end of the day, you got to look at the bigger picture here and what's best for him and his family. And I feel like what's best for him and his family, I can't speak for Mike Santana, but on the outside looking in and looking at the entire picture of both WWE and TNA, brother, you got to go to WWE, man. Sky's the limit, bro. If this is your last shot of getting to WWE, bro, you go all in. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I feel like, Santana, he's underrated, bro. He is severely underrated, man. He's been killing it on the indies. He's doing a phenomenal job. Ever since he left AEW, man, he has been on one hell of a trailblaze ever since he left AEW, man. Sky's the limit for Mike Santana. But if I was Santana and that opportunity came knocking and WWE wanted to acquire Mike Santana, if I was Santana, I'd be like, yeah, see ya. Absolutely. Absolutely. You don't owe TNA shit. Out the fucking door you go. Sure, Leon Slater, if the rumors are true, and he's on his way out, possibly after his contract's up with TNA, see you later. Get the fuck out of Dodge, bro. Go. Whether that's WWE or AEW, get the hell out. Get away from TNA. The Hardys, bro, if the Hardys leave too, bro, this company's done. Who's left? Who is honestly left that's going to keep the lights on for this fucking company? Who? They don't have the talent. And the reason why they don't have the talent is because they can't afford the fucking talent. Not only to bring them in for TNA, but to actually acquire them on a long-term deal. You can't... Right now, with the way their contracts are set up right now, you can't even build a long-term story because that person might only have 6 months on their fucking deal. I mean, come on, bro. It's fucking embarrassing. It's absolutely fucking embarrassing that TNA is pulling this stupid-ass shit. When you guys just signed a TV rights deal with AMC, for I'm assuming for what, $100 million? Come on, bro. Come on, man. Jesus Christ. Like, what the fuck are we doing here? What are we doing? What we're doing here is watching the slow burning death of TNA. That's exactly what we're doing. And if you guys haven't seen it or know it by now, man, just look what's been going on for the past couple weeks. You have talent requesting the release from TNA. We just had Steve Maclin ask for his release and vented his frustrations with Carlos Silva and TNA. And we just had the release today of Tessa Blanchard, who's now a free agent. You also have rumors and speculation that your current TNA World Champion is also entertaining the idea of going over to WWE because WWE is interested in Mike Santana. And there's also rumors of your former X Division champion Leon Slater also possibly getting out of his contract or waiting until his contract's up, and he's also out the door with TNA as well. You lose Mike Santana and Leon Slater, bro, this company's done. It's over. Those are some big shoes to fill for this company. Huge shoes to fill. And if those two guys leave, bro, that might be doomsday for TNA, man. Because I don't think they have the talent to solidify a top star in this company. Oh, they got Moose. Bro, Moose, with all due respect to Moose, man, I don't see Moose carrying this company on his back. And that's no disrespect towards Moose. But they don't have the talent to surround Moose around to have good storylines right now. They don't. They don't. Right now, Nick Nemeth and Mike Santana, if the match is going to happen, that's pretty much the only storyline you really got going on right now that's actually entertaining, at least, with TNA. They lost the plot, man. TNA lost the plot. And now, because of that, they're behind the 8 ball, man. And I honestly don't think TNA can bounce back from this shit. I really don't. I really don't. I think the writing is on the wall, and I think it's a slow burning death for TNA wrestling. And it's sad, man. It really is sad because this company has gone through the fucking ringer. And I already explained why, through all the financial issues, the bankruptcies, the bullshit ownership from Dixie Carter, and Jeff Jarrett trying to run this company into the fucking ground as well. I mean, this company is just, I don't know, man. It's sad. It really, at the end of the day, as a wrestling fan, it's sad. Because you're seeing this company literally dying live on TV every single week. And there's not a damn thing we can do about it. And there's not a damn thing that Carlos Silva is going to do about it to change anything about this company, to bring in some life, blood into this company and some spotlight to this company, get fans intrigued about this company. He don't give a shit, man. He does not care. He cares about the money that he's making from this deal. That's it. Other than that, he gives a rat's ass about TNA, bro. And it shows. I mean, look at the talent looking to get the hell out. They want out. You can't keep talent there for a long-term deal. You got talent there that, like Fabian Eichner, who showed up on TNA recently, that is there for quote unquote, from what he said, through the summer. What does that say? What, 4 months? 5 months? And that's it? Thank you for your business and best of luck to you for your future endeavors? On a 4 to 6 month deal? Come on, bro. Jesus Christ. Like, I mean, you know what I'm saying? That's why you can't build story around talents, because you can only sign them for a 6-month deal. Jesus Christ. I mean, I don't get it, man. I don't understand it. I don't. But do I think TNA deserve their TV rights deal? No. Absolutely not. If I was a representative from AMC right now, I'd be completely and utterly pissed off right now with the deal that they have with TNA. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a bad business move, and honestly, at the end of the day, it's a fucking mistake. I don't see how AMC benefits out of this at all. And this TV rights deal between them and TNA. What's the benefit for AMC? Not a damn thing. It's just them forking out $100 million to say, yeah, we'll produce your content for TNA on our channel. They're not getting nothing out of it. They're not getting shit out of it. What's the payoff for AMC? Nothing. Not a damn thing. Nothing. It puts TNA in the spotlight and giving them a TV rights deal, but you don't have the talent to solidify fans getting excited. You don't. And the majority of talent you did have on TNA at one time are fucking gone. They're gone. And the TNA roster you currently have right now are also asking for the release. And those releases are being granted because you can't afford to keep these talents. That's what it is. That's the name of the game for TNA. You cannot afford to keep the talent that you currently have on the roster. And they see the running on the wall. They see how TNA is being ran. They see the company getting run into the fucking ground. And they saw the writing on the wall, and they want the fuck out before the place crumbles to the goddamn ground. And they're left with nothing. I can't blame them. Look, loyalty is one thing, bro, but if you see the company, I mean, what other choice do they have, bro? Honestly. Especially when you have an owner and a president of this company that clearly does not give a shit or a rat's ass about the survival of this company. I don't blame the talents for wanting to fucking get the hell out of there. Because how are we supposed to believe in you when you're not believing in us? We're putting our lives on the line in this ring to keep this company afloat with a company that you're the president of where you don't give a rat's ass about this company. Clearly. There's no sense of direction for this company. It's what you see is what you get. That's it. And what you're getting on a weekly episodic television is complete and utter dog shit. But as a fan, we're supposed to get behind TNA and believe, oh yeah, man, this is the next big thing, the next best thing in pro wrestling. And we're supposed to be, as fans, we're supposed to be excited for TNA because it's TNA. The hell with that shit. Yeah, I'm a wrestling fan at heart, man. I've been a wrestling fan my entire life. But as time goes on, when you're a wrestling fan, you can read between the lines and see the bullshit. And this is complete bullshit. Complete bullshit. This company sucks. And yeah, you're going to have wrestlers that go to bat for TNA. I don't blame them because you're working for them. But as a fan of pro wrestling, you can't sit here and say what we're seeing on weekly episodic television is great shit. It's dog shit. It's bullshit, honestly. Oh, but it's TNA wrestling, man. People have always had, they never liked us to begin with. No, that's not the truth. I was a fan of TNA back in the day. It was great back in the day, bro. The X Division Championship, the pay-per-views, Abyss, the Monsters Ball match, or matches that he had, the matches he had with Sting, Kurt Angle in Abyss. I mean, Kurt Angle's run in TNA has been probably one of his best runs in all professional wrestling. Hands down. Hands down. AJ Styles and the run that he had in TNA. Christopher Daniels. Samoa Joe. Beer Money. Come on, bro. I was a huge fan of TNA back in the day. Absolutely. When they were on Spike TV, if you guys goes far back as I do, when Spike TV was a thing, and they were being shown on Spike TV, man, it was awesome. It was awesome. You know what I mean? The ring, the way the ring was set up, the entrance ramp, the ramp itself, the names that walk through TNA. I mean, hell, even at one time, my boy Randy Savage even made a debut for TNA. It was awesome. It was great. You had WCW legends that also wrestled there. Lex Luger wrestled for TNA at one time, believe it or not. Sting, Nash, Hall, Syxx, Hogan, Jeff Hardy, RVD made a name for himself in TNA. Christian Cage made a name for himself working in TNA. Great matches, great moments, bro. It's just not the same anymore. It's not. It's not. It's just they don't have the talent, and they don't have the financial resources to keep the talent on the roster. You're signing people to 6-month deals. Like I said, Fabian Eichner. I keep bringing it up, but it's the truth. When I heard this story, I laughed my ass off. He said, and this is coming from Eichner himself, saying, quote unquote, I'm with TNA through the summer. So basically, you're with TNA for the next 4 to 6 months, and then you're out. Because they can't afford to keep you on for a long-term deal. Come on, man. It's almost like pay by appearance at this fucking point. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke, man. The guy that's running this company is an utter and complete clown. Clown. And clearly he does not give a shit about TNA wrestling. But I wanted to give you guys my news and rumors and my thoughts on TNA and the news that came out about TNA and give you guys my thoughts about that and how I feel about that. And hopefully things do change for TNA in a better way. And hopefully this is not the slow burning death for TNA wrestling. And hopefully things change for the better. But with that being said, though, this is my news and rumors, most specifically about TNA wrestling. I hope you guys are out there staying safe. Be careful and remember, stay classic. Peace.